50 Cent is still bitter that Diddy turned 50's baby mother into Grand Central Station. He turned her womb into a Hauptbahnhof. In German, that means a train station. I had only just started to not think about all those testimonies that I heard during the trial. And then 50 wants to come out with a documentary about a man who has an out date because none of the serious crimes he was convicted of. Diddy received the same kind of sentence somebody would get for an extreme DUI. He's not going to be in jail for life. And apparently, this new documentary, though it might be a little embarrassing for the people that are in it, there's nothing incriminating. So, in my opinion, it seems like a waste of time. So, no, I will not be watching it. I've seen some of the highlights, but then again, a producer can make you feel or think a certain way based on how they frame certain things. But that's not going to work in my situation because I literally watched every single day of the Diddy trial and I did videos about it every single day. The only other person that probably made more content than me was the podcast with Soul. Everybody else, we literally sat on TikTok and discussed this ad nauseum. To watch 50 Cent bring this back up because he's still upset. The problem is, it's that 50 has a son by her. His son's not going to be able to go to regular school. His son's not going to be able to have regular friends. And when he becomes a teenager and other little boys bring up this trial, and what his mother admitted that she was really into doing, it's not that Diddy forced her. She liked it. She actually begged for it. One time, Daphne actually told Diddy, look, for your birthday, I want to have an all-star game of ninjas. Do you know what that means? Now, this is just rattling around in 50 Cent's head all day, every day, and he can't let it go. But the world's a different place now than it was even from when Diddy was convicted. You putting out allegations like this about a man like Diddy, remember, Diddy's not poor and he's not in jail for life. Also, he's not even, I don't even think that, let's see here, 3.5 more years and he's out of jail. So he's not dead. He's not in prison for life. Why would Netflix even green light putting out something like this for a person that can sue, that's still alive, and that has money enough to fight them? Trust me, nobody who was going to still deal with Diddy after the trial is going to watch this documentary and wipe their hands with him. I wanted to play, I seen this little clip of Marlon Wayans. I wanted to play it for a second. Every action that you do. What's up, everybody? This is the world famous. Absolutely true. That's a lesson that life will teach you. You never kick people when they're down because the pendulum swings. You might be up at one moment, the person might be down, and very quickly the tables could turn. Right now, 50 Cent is still trying to, you really can't do any more damage to Diddy. All the evidence came out. I remember everyone telling me that there was videos of Justin Bieber hanging upside down by his toes, and him and Usher were like in a meat packing plant, and there was whips and ice and underground tunnels between the Playboy Mansion, Diddy's house, all types of bull. And that Diddy was basically just the most sexually active human for the past 40 years that have ever existed. And basically, he spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just rubbing baby oil on himself and raping men, women, children, animals, full time, nonstop, never ate, never slept, just a complete monstrosity. Then the trial comes, and these people want to give this man life. They want to throw the book at him. The problem was, when you open the book, there's no pages. Was he doing bad business? Sure. Did he snake people that were his friends to get ahead? Sure. Did he do anything any different than Jewish record labels do to these black these black artists or personalities that they pretend have talent? No. It's pretty much how the industry goes. And then once you understand the industry, you go and you find another starving artist and you do the same thing to him. Just look at what Mace did to the other guy that made that really, really good song. Just FYI, I'm not a real big hip hop head. I like the music when I'm drinking or I'm having a party, but other than that, I listen to other stuff. Watching this man who is so bitter and just embarrassed because 50's not dumb. He's worried about Sire, but there's nothing worrying is going to do. It's already out there. Calling your baby mother a sex worker. And see, right now the charges haven't stuck, but she accused 50 Cent of rape and abuse as well. So eventually, if the district attorney picks up on those charges, 50 could be in that same position. Again, I watched the whole trial. The amount of trains that Diddy witnessed 50 Cent's baby mama have ran on her should boggle the mind. You think Bonnie Blue is bad, right? She has nothing on Daphne Joyce. It's not because I'm saying it. This came out at trial. And all the other rumors about Puffy being gay, Puffy being a pedo, Puffy being this, Puffy being that. Not one lick of proof. Do you know I went into that trial thinking that this man was a disgusting pedophile, animal rape. You know how embarrassed I was that I had to literally eat my own words after watching the entire trial and all the evidence? None of it was there. If anything, Diddy's problem was he was too nice to these women and they became entitled, so that when they would get into it and he's like, you know what, we should break up. You do you, I'm gonna do me. The problem was she's now dependent on you to take care of her. She's used to the money. She's used to the lifestyle. And the next guy, even if he's a ball player, you're not going to have that same access to the same things you had access to with Diddy. You're just not. And it was so petty. They had to literally convict him of transporting his girlfriends to go on vacations. So what they said was, well, these women were not your girlfriends. They were sex workers. And he's like, well, no, these are my girlfriends. How can you argue that women I'm with in a relationship? I've been dealing with these women for years. Cassie, 10 years plus. Daphne Joy at the time, 4 or 5 years. How's the government going to say, these are not your girlfriends, these are workers, and when you took them on vacation to these islands, You guys had sex, right? Well, that means that you only took them there to have sex with them. So that's technically sex trafficking. And then when they couldn't get them on sex trafficking or the Rico, they said, well, you transported this person and you had sex with them. But they're his girlfriends. And what they try to do is conflate it with the fact that there were male escorts in LA and in New York, but he wasn't flying those men out. Those men lived in those cities. Also, those were men that these women met. Keep in mind, these women have allowances. Cassie had her own music career. These are not poor women. Daphne has a child by 50 cents and she gets child support, whatever. They were paying these men even when Diddy was not around. They were doing freak offs without Diddy. So it wasn't like he was there always orchestrating it. That's why in the thumbnail, you see Diddy wearing a train conductor's hat because they made it seem like all the trains were being conducted by him. But when we went through the trial, these women were literally flying these men to come see them behind Diddy's back. And when Diddy found out about it, he kind of wanted to fall back and leave these women alone because that's how it goes with men. It's not necessarily the part of you having sex with another guy that we have an issue with because we understand people have needs. We're carnal. The issue is you're lying to me about it. So I asked you last night, what'd you do last night? And you said, oh, I watched a Netflix documentary and then I went to sleep. But it turns out you were having a freak off with these two greased up bodybuilding brothers and you didn't tell me about it. So how can we even say we're friends? How are we in a relationship? You're lying to me. If we were actually cool, I got a little side to me too. I date women, but you insist on lying to me because you want to control my perception of you instead of just letting me decide what I want to think and feel about you. Men see that as manipulation. That's why a lot of women we shy away from. We'll deal with a woman no matter how good she looks. But then eventually, once you realize she's trying to manipulate how you see her and what you think about her, you'll leave her alone. That's just how it goes with men. So again, this documentary was pointless, which is why there's no point for me to even watch it. I watched all the evidence. All the rest of the stuff is just really just to kind of try to embarrass Diddy. But Diddy won. He successfully turned your baby mother's womb into Grand Central Station. He beat Rico charges and sex trafficking. He's still successful, and he has an out date that's not 20 years, 10 years, or even 5 years away. This was the biggest victory I have ever seen in the legal system. And in my eyes, there was no way Diddy was going to be able to pull this off until I listened to the evidence and I watched all the testimony. Then I was like, oh, he's not going to jail. And everyone that was against me, you must beat women because you said he's not going to jail. I'm not an idiot. I'm a pragmatist and I'm going off of the data. He's not on trial for DV. That's not what this trial is about. This trial is about sex trafficking, Rico charges, transportation of prostitution. How they were able to convince the jury, well, even the jury wasn't convinced that his girlfriends were prostitutes because those are your girlfriends. So basically, just FYI, any man listening to me talk right now, realize this. If you ever run foul of the government or somebody who's powerful, if you have a girlfriend that you're not married to, the government can always come after you and accuse you and convict you of trafficking your girlfriend. Because remember, in the eyes of the government, she's either your wife or she's a victim. The government doesn't do side chicks. The government doesn't do girlfriends. The girlfriend doesn't do sugar babies. If you are taking her out to dinner and you guys go have sex, that is trafficking. That's prostitution. If you buy her clothes, that's prostitution. If you take her on a vacation, say you guys take a weekend trip to Vegas and you guys drive there and you cross state lines, or you fly her to Hawaii for her birthday. That is sex trafficking by the definitions of the law. We know, look at Trey Songz. Bro, this was the funniest thing. You know how there's a basketball player named Ja Morant? Some Instagram freak, her name is Jaw Morant. Jaw Morant is insane. But anyway, she hit up Trey Songz like, oh, I want to come see you. And Trey Songz was like, really? You want to come put those jaws on me, Jaw Morant? All right, buy your ticket. She gets mad at Trey Songz and tries to expose him because he told her, look, say you come out here to come see me and I fly you out. If things go left between me and you, say we don't get along and I tell you to leave, or I tell you, you know what, I'm not feeling you, you know, it's time for you to bounce. You can always go to the police and say, he flew me out and I was trafficked by him. He flew me here with the intent of having sex with me. A woman can do that now and you will be arrested and you will be prosecuted. As far as what you're going to be sentenced or if it's going to, it doesn't matter. You're going to be smeared in the media and you're going to have legal costs. You're going to have to get a lawyer. It's not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. He explained that to her and she tried to expose him for that just because he would not fly her out and he did not want to become a victim. The reason we all know this is because those of us who are smart, who are men who deal with women, multiple women, because we're not married and we don't want to be, especially not to an American woman, we learned from Diddy's mistakes. The only thing they were able to convict him of was transportation of prostitutes, and the prostitutes were his two girlfriends. He took them on vacations, and those vacation trips they went on, there were no male prostitutes. Those are the trips that they said he transported them across state lines. The traveling on vacations. If you go back, you know, X amount of years, that's what they got R. Kelly on. Transportation of a 26-year-old woman that he met at one show. He paid for her to fly out to his other show, took her on a vacation. On vacation, they had sex. They didn't get married. They were able to convict him of sex trafficking and prostitution because giving gifts to a woman, feeding her, clothing, paying for her flights, that's all basically the government saying you're only being nice to her because you want to have sex with her. But in all of human history, that has been the number one reason men have always been nice to women. If I meet a beautiful woman, I would want to if I wanted to put a ring on her finger, it's because I'm hoping she's going to want to have sex. If I buy her a house, it was to have sex. If I went out and built the house in the middle of the forest, if I went and died in war, it was because there was a woman back home that I love, I wanted to marry, and I wanted to have sex with. Now, having sex with women has been turned against you, and it's a crime. So we all have to be careful going forward. But let's listen to a couple more of these New York people and their thoughts on this this weird little unnecessary and pathetic documentary that at the end of it, it's not going to have been worth it for 50 or for Netflix. And I'll show you why. It was a hit piece. Give me 1 second. Let me make sure that that the audio is working good and everything's coming through clear for people that are watching this. Excuse me. Let me see here. All right, let me double check. That the audio is working good and everything. Again, friends. Oh, see, it's not coming through. Let me see here. Life. I want to. Then the trial comes. We just start. Let me see. What about Marlon Wayans? Did you guys hear him talk? No, it's not coming in. Are you serious? Oh, yeah, that's a problem. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. I had no idea that you guys could not hear this. I wonder what went wrong. Let me see here. Input. Default. Okay. I'm not sure this is turned up. System. Out. Well, the point is this. In this documentary, now other people are saying that nobody was paid when they made this. So this was all just to feed the ego of 50 Cent. And he went to people who are in New York who are afraid of him. People know that 50 Cent is a troll and he can literally troll you on the internet and embarrass you and destroy whatever little career you have. Look at what he did to Big Meech and his son, just because the father, when he got out of jail, went and seen Rick Ross, the man who had made a multi-platinum song shouting out his name 10 years before while he was in prison. 50 had no problem doing that and embarrassed them people in front of the entire world by posting. So I believe, and you can tell everybody that 50 went to do this documentary or to give them this footage, you don't even have to pay them. You can just let them know, if me and you get into it, or if you say no to me, there's going to be a consequence. He bullied them. So you didn't have to pay anybody for anything. But the reason I said it's not going to be worth it in the end is because when we look at this, apparently 50 is a little nervous because he received a bouquet of flowers from Diddy from jail. I guess to congratulate him for the documentary he made about him. But this bouquet of flowers appears to be a arrangement that was for a funeral. Those are not the bouquet of flowers you give to a girlfriend or you want to say congratulations. The colors are like that of a Halloween. Those are the colors from a funeral. Now, there's lots happened since Diddy was convicted. We've had assassinations that are unsolved. We've had people become threatened with assassination. I'm talking about people that are high up, super rich, successful, easily just being able to get touched and killed in front of everyone, and nobody really can do anything about it. People, they didn't even catch these people when it happened. They days later, the people turned themselves in. Then why'd you even run in the first place? So that's why I don't even believe any of those. I don't believe those are any of the people that did the shooting. I don't believe Mangiani did the shooting because it's not like they caught him red-handed with a weapon. They didn't catch him doing it. Tyler Robinson, there's magically no video of him in broad daylight crouching down and taking a shot. There's no footage. That's why Mangiani's going to get out. Tyler Robinson is going to also be exonerated. There's no evidence they did it. So we are living in an era of high-profile Americans being assassinated and people getting away with it. Diddy is going to be able to sue the dog shit out of Netflix because this is defamation. Remember, he was cleared of any wrongdoing. And if they're in just the insinuations alone, this is a horrible strategy for them because, again, he's not in jail for life. He's not dead yet. And he's still filthy rich. He's still worth hundreds of millions that he has access to liquid. And once he's out of jail, he can monetize himself. Remember, he is the product. Diddy doesn't write lyrics. He's not really, he doesn't do, he's the art. He's the art. He's not even the artist. He's the art. He's the person that orchestrates everything. He brings people together, puts them on songs. He's the actual talent himself. He can monetize his own image. People are still going to deal with them because he wasn't convicted of hurting kids. He wasn't convicted of trafficking women. He was not convicted of the Rico charge was thrown out. Calling his girlfriends prostitutes is not even an insult. So he's still around, but Netflix is going to have to pay a price. And I think 50 knows he's going to have to pay a price, because why else would 50 Cent say, oh, Diddy sent me this at the club and it's kind of gay. And I'm with all the foreplay. Let's get busy. I'm 90s grimy. No, you're not 50. You're 2025 grimy. You troll people on the internet. You're not getting physical with anybody. You're not shooting anybody. You're literally, a 15-year-old kid in Yugoslavia that's literally trolling people on Twitter on the other side of the world. You're not out here shooting and stabbing and fighting. You're not doing all that. So this was a horrible miscalculation on their part, and it was a waste of time, all because 50 Cent, his ego's bruised because his son is going to be embarrassed for the rest of his life. Nobody will ever let his son forget. His son gets into any argument with anybody, they're going to bring up that his mother has a contract with Amtrak, and that's not going to go away anytime soon. So let me know if you agree or disagree. Like I said, I'm not in the music industry. I don't have to worry about these people. So it doesn't matter to me. That's just my opinion and why this documentary was a bad idea strategically, and it makes no sense. He should have just let this kind of die out and moved on. But instead, he wants to remind everybody about all the disgustingly sexy things his baby mama was doing for a man that's richer than him. So you're a rich guy and you let another rich guy take your baby mother. Out of all the women on earth, he takes your baby mother, and you're bitter. Like, subscribe, share the video. The Single Boyfriend. I'll be back shortly with another video. Cheers.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.